So, Glenn, two new series on Netflix with America's favorite thing, animals, cats and dogs. Tell me about it.
Well, this is season two of Dogs, which is a series that explores our love affair and bond with dogs since sort of the dawn of time. And it's a show that isn't something you would see on National Geographic, which is like a scientifically based show or telling people why dogs wag their tails or why they sniff other dogs' butts. And it's certainly not like an Animal Planet show where it's Caesar Milan training a dog to not get on the couch. These are each like little movies, and we tell these stories in real time, and you get to know the characters, both human and dog alike, and you go on a journey with them. And in season two, we have a story about a famous astronaut who had a photo that went viral where he's in his astronaut NASA regalia, and his two dogs are in his portrait with him. And we thought there would be a really cool story there, so we're telling that story. Another story of an Iraqi dog that was rescued and brought to the States. Story about a beloved mascot at a college here in the U.S. And a wonderful story that takes place in Brazil about a priest that rescues dogs. And then there's Cat People. It's the first season for Cat People. And when season one of Dogs came out and was a big success, Cat People got very annoyed with me that there wasn't also a cat show. And they let me know that if I knew it was good for me, I would quickly get a cat series into production. So we did that as well. And I think that the real premise of Cat People is taking a look at the stereotype of the crazy cat person or the weird cat person and flipping that in its ear and saying, maybe they're not so crazy, maybe they're not so weird, maybe they're just unique and really, really cool, actually. So we really lean into that.
Nice. And what would you say was the biggest challenge about getting these stories and choosing the ones that you ended up using?
Well, the thing is, everyone thinks that their cat and their dog is a movie star, right? And so when we go out into the world looking for these stories, everybody thinks it's their story that needs to be told. And what we really need is, in the case of dogs, stories that can sustain over an hour. And Cat People is a shorter show. It's a half-hour show, and it leans a little bit more into humor. But even then, telling a story with 3 acts and characters that you're invested in who are going on a journey, that's tough. And so we would go through maybe 1,000 stories to find 6. And so it is a lot of work, but we're glad that we did it.
I'm glad you did it too. I think both series are absolutely amazing, and I'm an equal opportunity animal lover. I love both cats and dogs, so both shows are absolutely perfect. And you've got into a lot of the stories before about the dogs that the priest rescued and the astronaut. What story would you say was your favorite this season?
On dogs,
Yes.
um, golly, it's so hard to choose. They're all our babies. I make the joke that I rate the episodes not based on like 5 stars, 1 to 5 stars. I rate them on tissue boxes. How many times you're gonna. So if it's a 5 tissue box episode, that means you're gonna be pretty dehydrated by the time the episode's over. And I think the story about Padre down in Brazil, the priest that has his own little sanctuary. I mean, that might be my favorite, and that's definitely a 5 tissue box episode.
What about with the cats?
Well, the cats, golly, that's a much different type of show, and they're just so fun and irreverent. But it's really hard to beat a cat rapper. And we have an episode called Cat Rapper's Delight about Mosho, who's this world famous cat rapper who has such a interesting and wonderful relationship with cats. So that might be my favorite. It's a tie between that and an episode called God's Little People about a cat sanctuary that is essentially in paradise on a Greek island. And I just want to retire and go live there and volunteer at the cat sanctuary.
Now that sounds like heaven and paradise right there. I love
Some
it.
people.
Like I said, I love both cats
Yeah.
and dogs, so it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And would you ever maybe do a show about cats and dogs together and how they interact and get along?
A crossover. I'd love that. Hopefully Netflix is listening. I will pitch that to them next. And there's definitely a cats versus dogs rivalry that's gone on for as long as anyone can remember. But plenty of people have both dogs and cats, and they get along really well and are even best friends sometimes. And it would be interesting to explore those unexpected relationships. And I don't know that we'd ever have a series that was mixing cats and dogs, but a crossover episode sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, because my mom has both cats and dogs. They get along so well. They're like best friends.
Awesome. That's so
They
cool.
always cuddle together and play together. I mean, sometimes they're a little bit, but that's with anyone, anything living thing. They kind of squirm sometimes, but they love each other very much.
Totally. Totally.
Yes,
I sometimes get a little squirmy myself, so I can't blame cats and dogs.
exactly. And what are you, a cat person or dog person? A little bit of both?
A little bit of both. The cats were my gateway animal. I had cats when I was a bit younger, when I was in school, and at one point I was a single guy with 3 cats. It was a really interesting look for me, and then I transitioned to dogs. I'm not sure I would characterize it as an evolution because one's not better than the other. It's just different stages of my life. Dog requires more responsibility. Cats take care of themselves pretty well, so I think once I had a little bit, once I grew up a little bit and became a little bit more responsible myself and had the means to take care of a dog, then I moved on to dogs. But right now I have neither. But I'm looking to bring some love back into my life with a new furry friend or two. So we'll see.
Nice. And just for what it's worth, the three cat thing I think is a really good thing. So just
Awesome.
saying it, just putting it out there.
Well, maybe I'll bring 3 more into my house, see if it works for me.
It should. It should. Anyone that has cats or dogs or both is just a-okay in my book.
Awesome.
Yes. And what else are you working on these days?
Well, we have another series that is premiering in August, on August 8th, called UFO on Showtime. And that's a series we produced with J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot. And right now, it seems that we're at a fever pitch in terms of our interest in UFOs and revelations about UFOs. And so you really couldn't hope for a better time to tell these stories. So we're really, really excited for that story to come down, for that series to come down the pike in August.
I am so excited for that. We're going to have to talk again about that because I love all that kind of stuff.
Would love to.
Yes, I'm obsessed. And one thing I guess when people I interview is tell me a fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact about myself. Well, being a producer is my second career. I started out as a criminal prosecutor back on the East Coast in Hudson County, New Jersey. So
Oh, wow.
my journey from prosecutor to producer was a long and strange one, but glad I did it. I think I'm much happier as a producer than I was as a prosecutor.
Nice. Very nice. And what's your favorite breed of dog?
Pitbull.
Pit bull. Okay, that's
Very,
surprising.
yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot of controversy around pit bulls, and they do get a bad rap. The example I like to use is if someone gets into a car accident with a Honda Fit, it's going to do a lot less damage than if someone gets into a car accident with an 18-wheeler. But in both cases, or in most cases, it's all about the driver. I mean, the 18-wheeler isn't inherently bad. The Honda Fit isn't inherently bad. But if you've got a bad owner with a pit bull, you're going to have a lot more problems than if you have a bad owner with a Chihuahua. And a lot of times you hear these really horrible, very sad stories about pit bulls doing harm, but they don't always show you who's the family behind that dog. And if you take a closer look, in my experience, quite often it's a dog that wasn't being treated properly and was in most cases actually abused.
Exactly. And on that note, I want to thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to talk to you in August about your new show.
I'll be right back in August with you. I will.
Thank you. You
Thanks
have
so
a
much.
good one.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.